No, the Oscars still isn't happening. It was a somewhat shorter show last night. But following one award show after another, the Oscars capped off the season with one battle after another sweeping the night, taking Best Picture, Best Director for Paul Thomas Anderson, and 6 awards overall. The ceremony also made room for standout wins from Sinners, with Michael B. Jordan taking Best Actor, and Hamnet, with Jessie Buckley winning Best Actress. Joining me to recap the biggest moments, surprises, and what this year's Oscars said about the movies and the culture around them are Culture Show co-host Callie Crossley and Culture Show contributor Lisa Simmons, the artistic and executive director of the Roxbury International Film Festival and program manager at Mass Cultural Council. Welcome, happy post-Academy Awards afternoon. How are you both?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
So I'm judging by your energy already. Well, Callie, let me start with you. What overall impressions did you like the show?
Oh, did I like about the show? Okay.
No, did you like the
Oh,
show?
did I like?
In an overall sense.
It was slow to me. You know, people have complained about this in the past, and I never felt it. But this year, it was really slow. And I was quite surprised by that. There were parts where I literally was in my chair going, what? Move it on. What is happening? And I enjoy it. So I thought, wow, if I'm a committed viewer and it felt slow to me, what did it feel like to people who have been complaining about this for years?
I know, and the thing that we always have to remember, and this will probably come up as we talk about Conan O'Brien too, is that is one of the toughest rooms to play to, because you have a group of people. As the evening starts off, they're super nervous, so they're less inclined to be relaxed. And then as the evening goes on, you have a room full of a bunch of losers.
Yes, that's
literally.
They have to sit there.
True.
And
That's
then a
true.
bunch of nervous people left.
Yeah.
So it becomes very challenging. Lisa, what did you think of the show?
I think the same way. I mean, I do. I think it's hard. I think that it's a totally different dynamic, and you have to play the room like that, right? It's totally different than the SAG Awards, where everyone's like, and everyone has a bunch of drinks on their table, and they're having a good time, and they haven't seen each other. This is the end of a very long award season, right? And this is the pinnacle. So you're right. I feel the same way, Jared. I feel like they're sitting there totally tense. The first two get out of the gate, and then you have to sit there the rest of the night knowing that you didn't win and wanting to cheer on your fellow actors. But I think that the writing missed. I think that the presenters, the scripts that they were given were awkward, and you could feel the awkwardness in the room. It's sort of like people were trying to be funny, and sometimes I was like so thankful when they were just presenting and they didn't have to, like Bill Pullman and his son. I was like, well, who wrote that? Like it felt really, and I felt nervous for them because they were trying to get something from the audience, and the audience wasn't giving it.
The one pairing I thought worked was Dame Anna Wintour, and
good.
Anne Hathaway.
Oh, yes.
That was
I
very
thought that
good.
was very clever.
And the timing was great.
Exactly. I was just going to say, it looked
What do you
like
think
they
about
rehearsed.
my dress?
Yeah.
And the nominees are.
That was
very
great.
funny. But I also
Yeah.
thought Bridesmaids worked.
Yeah.
Oh, I could not disagree with you more. And
did-
Callie knows
Oh,
because
you
we were
too.
talking about this. I was so excited on
too.
Friday when we had the news of
They
the
were a little
Bridesmaids
goofy.
reunion. And I just thought that was so poorly written and it didn't land. And you have some of the most brilliant comedians
Funniest
funniest
people.
people on that stage.
Yep.
And nobody thought to say, this isn't quite working.
And I had heard that they had rewritten the bits. And so
Oh.
I don't know what happened there, but yes, I felt the same way. I was very disappointed. I wanted to really laugh at that segment, and it didn't do it for me.
Well, I guess while we're talking about laughing, let's go to the host, and then we'll go to the big discussion about who won and the excitement over. We went into this really not knowing who was going to win, but of course Conan O'Brien was back for the second year in a row. May not be back for a third year if you stayed up late enough to watch the little post.
The little
That
post
was
thing.
great.
Post-show skit.
That
which
was
took,
cute.
Took off
That
from
was
one
funny.
battle after another, suggesting he would not return as host. Here, I personally chose. This is my favorite Conan O'Brien joke last night from his monologue, where he busted out what's really, in the end, a dad joke.
F1 received 4 nominations. F1 did so well, they're making a sequel, Caps Lock.
That was it took them a little while to get it.
Some of these I do for myself.
And me, Conan O'Brien. I laughed at home with that one.
Yes, that was cute.
I thought it started off really well with the skit where he's taking on the Amy Madigan
Right.
character from Weapons and literally running through all the different movies. But in the end, I'm not sure. I don't think
with
his
you.
hosting worked.
Yeah, yes, and I was so surprised. Now, one thing, remember, we've always talked about how Conan stays away from politics. He did not. He delved in. Now, you can say quietly and a little softly, but he made several points And I thought, this is interesting. And I don't know if the audience, again, you all have described it well, nervous and mad at the same time, just wasn't responding to it. So they didn't land as I thought they might. And I usually feel quite great comfort in his hands, and I didn't feel it last night. I thought he was part of the slowness of the night.
I think so too, and I think that once, as a comedian, I can't imagine like how you keep moving forward when things don't land properly, and they say he went to the comedy clubs and he tried out some of the bits, and so some of them might have worked in the club, but they didn't work here for all sorts of different reasons. So I feel like that too. I feel like every time he came out, he had a new joke, and if it didn't land, it was sort of like, and then it was sort of like, okay, well, that one was for me, and I just feel like I felt like he was nervous too, and sort of like something knocked him off his game.
And the other part I was waiting for was what was he going to say about Timothy Chalamet? Because, of course, everybody has been talking about it, including us here on the Culture Show, talking about what Timothy Chalamet said about the classical arts, ballet and opera, where nobody cares about them. And I thought even that joke didn't land. And there was that one other person who stood up there, and with Timothy Chalamet sitting right in the front row, I think it was one of the documentary short winners who
said it too.
Exactly. But even there, you're reminded that this is Hollywood. I guess there's collegiality at the end of the day, and there's only so much, unless you're Ricky Gervais, you're going to take down people in your own town.
Yeah,
right,
I guess so.
exactly.
No, I thought that his joke about security and there may be the people from the opera and the ballet outside, it wasn't, guffaw, but it was cute. But what I didn't think worked, which I thought was interesting, was the guy in the orchestra playing on the buttocks.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, okay,
I had to be reminded this morning. It's a Marty Supreme reference.
Okay.
Then his whole joke about how there were no British actors nominated this year because they're, busy actually putting their people away for...
Yes.
Yeah,
for bad things like this that this country doesn't do.
I worked that one worked.
Yeah,
for me.
that one did.
Yes,
it was very interesting.
Yeah.
So anyway,
let's move on to what made this year so exciting was the fact that other than Jessie Buckley and Golden, we didn't really know who was going to win at the end of the day. Whereas most of the time, it's pretty much Lisa Simmons.
Jessie Buckley, I think everybody thought
that's what I said. Jessie Buckley and Golden for song. We didn't necessarily know who was going to win Best Picture, Director, all of that. So, all right. So, Lisa, you were skeptical. Did you think that One Battle After Another was going to triumph last night?
I did in the back of my mind. I just, and it's really interesting. I just feel like, I don't know where Hollywood is, where we are as a country. I don't know. I just feel like it was sort of like the other film, Everywhere, Anywhere, All at Once. It was sort of like this chaotic sort of like, and you're like, I didn't really get that. I needed to see it like 6 times. And I feel the same way about this one. I feel like Hollywood loves these types of movies that are, the Academy, I shouldn't say Hollywood, that are sort of like, not necessarily grasping at straws. That's not what I'm trying to say. It was more like, it's movement. There's like all of this, like you can take all these political references. It's all over the place. It's not a linear, story. And I just was like, the minute that he won Best Director, I was like, I knew that that was going to end up winning Best Picture. But
so, are we all in agreement that in the end it was going to come down between
Sinners,
and One Battle After Another?
But I have a different reason for why I think he won.
Go ahead.
What do you think?
Because as really to quote Vulture critic I was listening to the other day, she said Hollywood likes to right wrongs. Yeah, and Paul Thomas Anderson has been ignored. So it was the timing. And I personally had that happen to me in my category when I was up. The person that won should have won the year before. So if you look around, that happens often. So sometimes what happens is there is a combination of, X movie or person just wasn't going to win, but sometimes they should have won 2 years ago or this, and people are saying, okay, well, it's more body of work than not.
Right, because Paul Thomas Anderson should have won for Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights.
He should have won for
many.
Well, many, but I would say Boogie Nights was the one, but not necessarily this one. So that, you always have, because people need to remember, this is a political campaign at the end of the day. So people are campaigning for the award, and yes, it's a Lifetime Achievement Award to some degree. Sometimes it gets balanced out by somebody like Jessie Buckley, who everybody saw that performance and thought, okay, regardless of who is up up this year. Glenn
my
Close
God.
could be up for her 17th or whatever
Yeah.
it was for her. It's ridiculous that she hasn't won, although I always say the category of people who never won an Oscar is pretty extraordinary.
That's right.
It
Hitchcock,
is.
Cary Grant,
right.
Glenn
Yeah.
Close, Peter O'Toole, it goes on and on. Yeah, so it does feel that perhaps that happened here, because at the end of the day, I thought that Sinners was going to win because it was so inventive. It galvanized people to such an extent. There
And
was
an
so much
original
For Best
script.
Picture.
It's
For
best,
Best
best
Picture.
picture
And there was
and
so
best
much
director.
enthusiasm
I think.
for it.
And didn't you think that at least there was a chance that Sinners could win Best Picture and then Paul Anderson would get everything else? That would have made more sense to me than what happened. But okay.
Well, let's talk about Michael B. Jordan winning the Oscar for Best Actor. Here's some of his acceptance speech.
I stand here because of the people that came before me. Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, Halle Berry, Jamie Foxx, Forrest Whitaker, Will Smith, and to be amongst those giants, amongst those greats, amongst my ancestors, amongst my guys. Thank you, everybody in this room and everybody at home, for supporting me over my career. I feel it. I know you guys want me to do well, and I want to do that because you guys bet on me.
There was such an unbelievably dear speech coming from a man who just had gotten up from his seat sitting next to his mother, whom he honored there.
Yes.
Coming from a man who deserved this award from Fruitvale Station years
Yes.
ago. Talk about lifetime achievement. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a man who's already deserved it many times over. But this met this moment, and also not one but two extraordinary performances. If you haven't seen it,
Exactly.
he plays
Right.
twins.
Yeah, so I loved it for many reasons, all that you've said. I love that he did what we call in the black church call the roll. He called the roll of all the ancestors right there, and nothing makes people more excited about that. Also, he introduced a little bit of black culture in the auditorium, because when he got up, he said, he referenced God and just said, "God is good." And black people in the audience said all the time. And if you feel it, if you go further, it's usually God is good all the time. So it was just, I enjoyed that as part of it. And of course, a shout out to his mother and all of the people. But it was special in so many ways, and he was most deserving.
I was so excited for him to win this after winning the actor award. I'm like, okay, now we're going into the Oscars. He's got that, carrying that buzz with him. And I just think it was right. It was completely and totally the right award for him to have it. And I love that he is so connected to his family and his mother, obviously. But he really is humble, and I think you're right. And you think about the relationship that he and Ryan Coogler have had since Fruitvale Station, and you could, in every role he's in, that they're together, you can see they're growing together, and that is what I love. And I love that he understands that his role and his work is to uplift the Black experience, Black people, and feeling proud of the work that he's doing. So I loved that call. I loved, I loved that the audience loved him. You know what I mean? When he got up there
Yes.
and they gave him a standing ovation, and he was just like so taken by that.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes,
It's funny that you say that, because I realized partway through the ceremony who was getting more cheers and enthusiasm. I thought, no, now I understand what it's like to be in the Hollywood high school cafeteria, truly, because you understand, oh, these people are popular. These
Right.
people are really, really well liked, and it's distinctive. That it's simply organic. That's all it is.
Yes.
So I started paying attention to that now at this, after staying up all night. I can't remember who else I cheered loudly for last night, but I started to notice that. There was another really significant win for Sinners, as much as one battle after another won so many awards. Sinners won for screenplay, score, acting, of course, and then cinematography.
Yes.
Here's Autumn Durald-Arkapow, who made history as the first woman to win Best Cinematography for Sinners.
I'm so honored to be here, and I really want all the women in the room to stand up, because I feel like I don't get here without you guys. I really, really, truly mean that. I have felt so much love from all the women on this whole campaign and gotten to meet so many people, and I just feel like moments like this happen because of you guys, and I want to thank you for that.
I also love when somebody is really collected on stage. Michael B. Jordan was, she was. That shows so much about who the person is, and even more why they should win. Lisa, I know you were very excited about this win in particular.
So excited about it because, I mean, just like anything else, like, the humbleness of her, that she has been working in this field that is male dominated for how long? Again, another Ryan Coogler, connection. She did Wakanda Forever. She did Rihanna's Oscar nominated video. And I just feel like, you don't see these people. These are behind the scenes people. These are people that you don't necessarily say, oh, that cinematographer. I mean, you do say cinematography is wonderful, but so to lift her up and for her to stand up there and have all the women in the room stand was so empowering. And, I can't wait to see more of what she's going to do.
I would add that first woman of color in the history of the Oscars to win this. And you look at the field of nominees and they're all at the top of their game. So what would make her stand out? I just want to mention one thing. She shot Sinners. It's a dark movie. She had to shoot all different skin tones. She's spoken about what she did to make certain that everybody stood out from that dark background. That's not often considered well when folks of color are on film. So she managed that with all the other stuff she had to do, the movement, the outside, the whatever. And that couldn't help but, in my opinion, elevate her to steps ahead of her male competitors this time.
You also walk away from that film with you have every sense of the feeling of that film, the colors of that film, which they also recreated in that fantastic musical number
that was so great.
last night,
that
too.
Was beautiful. I think the other thing, too, is that they shot on IMAX, and it's a very, very, very difficult camera to shoot on. So I also am wonderful to her to understand that, to know that, and that makes such a difference on the way that that a movie comes across, and so that's pretty incredible.
Let's take a moment to talk about, we had previewed this on the Friday show too, the In Memoriam this year, which for even the people I remembered who died in 2025, it was excruciating because there were so many more people I'd forgotten about, like Val Kilmer. It was an epic loss in Hollywood. Here's Billy Crystal delivering his tribute, which started out the In Memoriam last night, to Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer.
My friends, Rob's movies will last for lifetimes, because they were about what makes us laugh and cry and what we aspire to be. Far better in his eyes, far kinder, far funnier, and far more human. And when Michelle Singer entered his life, they were unstoppable. A gifted photographer, she not only produced films with Rob, but it was her energy that had them working tirelessly to fight social injustice in the country that they both loved.
And then this extraordinary array of actors
Oh my gosh.
who had starred in his films, they entered the stage, and then we transitioned to Rachel McAdams honoring many of the women who died this year, especially Diane Keaton, with whom she'd worked, and it closed with Barbara Streisand remembering Robert Redford and even singing.
Singing.
The way
She never sings.
Some of The Way We Were. It was astonishing.
So powerful and well done. And I cried through it because it was just so touching. And for those people who stood up there to lead what was an on-air eulogy, I mean, it was tough for them. You could see them trying to be in control as they talked about it, and that was touching too.
And I think that, kudos for the Oscars for saying that this year they were going to do something very special and not just run, because so many giants had been lost this year. And I was watching the Rob Reiner one. I think I've seen every single one of those movies and loved every single one of those movies. They just touch you in so many different ways and are so much connected to your life. You can connect to it. But when Barbara Streisand sang at the end, I was like,
because if you know her story, she does not like to do that. She
does not like to do that.
She doesn't like to do that. That was incredible.
No, and she likes to be in control too. So I'm sure she didn't love some of the technical difficulties that were happening.
Why were they playing the piano?
I don't know. And they were cutting away from her, and they should have just
the camera. We can even go. We can take a whole time to talk about the camera.
But I thought it was all touching, and I too noted how much time they gave that. And in some respects, I think that was one of the best parts of the show last night.
Yeah, they could have actually
mark
moved that up,
excellence.
as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
In the show. Yeah.
Well, before we close, any big surprises or snubs that you both are still thinking about this morning?
I mean, I think Paul Mescal for Hamnet, he was brilliant in that. Didn't but there's this whole game that they play. Let's put him up for supporting actor, and then they didn't put him up for actor. So I thought that was a big loss. Jesse Plemons, I thought he was great in Begonia. I mean, he
Didn't even get
Didn't even get
nominated.
nominated.
That was ridiculous.
Didn't even get nominated.
I'm just mad about Ryan not getting Best Director.
I know.
I mean, this happened to John Chu too. Whatever you think about Wicked, these things can't get done without the director. Come on,
And Wicked not even getting nominated for anything.
I didn't feel so bad about that, but I feel bad when this is an original piece of art that he brought to life, knowing who to pick and all of that. Oh, we didn't mention the new casting category.
Oh, yes.
And I will say that I thought that was very interesting.
And I thought Sinners was going to win for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
'Cause I felt
Me
like
too.
it should have.
We learned a lot. I know
Yeah.
we've run out of time.
Yeah.
We learned a lot about the casting process. I will say I
Yes.
never quite understood
Me
what they
either.
did until last night.
really?
Which is great.
Me
yeah.
too.
Oh,
But
and
we're not in the industry like you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say I wish I could have taken the tie that happened in that one category and moved it to Best Actor, because I would have loved to have seen Ethan Hawke
Ethan Hawke.
and
Yes,
Michael B.
yes,
Jordan
yeah.
win, because they both deserved it so much.
Very good. You're
I
right.
think so.